What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be finishing off our CRAIT map guide by covering the attacking side, which is of course the First Order. Now if you haven't seen the defending guide, then don't worry, there will be a link on screen at the end of the video, so make sure to go and check that one out as well. Now before I get stuck into the guide, if you guys have any particular maps you'd like to see me cover first, then make sure to let me know down in the comments section. As of right now, I'm not 100% sure on which map I am going to do next, so make sure to let me know down below. So with all that out of the way, just like we did in the defending guide, we're going to get stuck straight into the bird's eye view of this first phase, which obviously takes place out on the salt flats outside the rebel outpost. Now the objective of this first phase is to try and advance the two ATM-6s all the way towards the outpost without taking too much damage. The walkers move towards the entrance on their own along these two dotted lines, and as they progress further forward, you'll reach checkpoints along the way, meaning you and your team will spawn further up the map each time you reach a new checkpoint. Once the walkers make it all the way to the end of the third checkpoint, then you'll be onto the second phase of the map, which takes place inside, and depending on how much damage the walkers take, you'll have a certain amount of tickets left in the next two phases. Now, straight off the bat in this first phase, I tend to head over to the left side of the map and take cover behind this town TIE fighter, mainly because it offers a bit more cover than the rest of the map, but also people tend to not really look over this far a lot of the time. I can't recommend the Specialist class enough for this first phase, even though there are still the tunnel systems where all the other classes can still do well. The Specialist can do well in all aspects of the first phase, so if you're unsure on which class to choose, then I'd definitely recommend giving the Specialist class a try. Once the first wave of enemies has been taken care of, then it's always a good idea to try and push up towards the next area with some cover rather than just sitting back in the same spot. So if you are on this left side of the map, then this trench is probably the next area you'll find. However, there are trenches all over the map, so regardless where you are on the map, you should always be able to find some sort of cover. Now honestly, as a regular trooper, this whole first phase should pretty much just be played exactly how I just showed you. All you really need to do is just try and make sure the coast is clear, and then try and push as far forward as you can to try and get yourself into a good position. Obviously the enemies will be trying to fire off the ion disruptors, and the way that this map's laid out, the only way you can really stop them from doing so is getting up in their grill, so I can't stress enough how important it is to keep pushing forward. I often see a lot of snipers sitting at the back of the map trying to get kills, and while it is obviously good fun to try and go on some kill streaks, you're not really helping the team if you're playing that way, so it's definitely best to try and push up with the rest of your team. Even if you push up and still sit a little bit behind the action, that's still going to be a lot more useful than sitting at the back of the map. The other thing about the Specialist class that a lot of people don't really take into account is that they can still do extremely well in close quarters areas. The A280 CFE combined with the infiltration ability leaves you just as, if not better equipped than most other classes in the game when it comes to close quarters combat. Now, just like in the defending guide, I am also going to mention another good strategy that you can use on this first phase, and that is to play as a TIE fighter. Of all the maps in the game, this is definitely the easiest to play as a Starfighter, seeing as only the First Order can use them, which means you won't have to worry about getting into any dogfights with other pilots. If you're just learning to fly in this game, then this is definitely the best map to practice on, as you can pretty much just stray from without having to worry about enemy starfighters, and even though you can obviously still be taken out by ion torpedoes and stuff like that, you're definitely a lot less likely to be taken out without any other pilots flying around. Your best bet is pretty much just to strafe run from the side rather than heading straight towards the outpost, as coming in from the side means the trenches will be fully visible and you're much more likely to be able to take out your enemy. This is also a really fast way to earn battle points as well, so if you are trying to get a hero in the second phase, then this is definitely a good way to go about it. Now, like I said, once the walkers do make it all the way to the entrance, you'll be onto the second phase of the map. This phase takes place inside the outpost, and the objective for this phase is to take control of a capture point, which is pretty much the whole area around this pillar that you can see on screen. Now, obviously you can just enter through the 500-foot door that's pretty much staring you in the face the whole first phase, but there are also tunnel systems that lead into the next phase as well, so if you do spawn near the tunnels, then it's definitely a lot safer to go underground. Once I'm inside, rather than pushing straight for the objective, I'll usually head to the sides of the cave and try and take care of a few enemies before pushing in, because you do need to remember that they're always going to be set up extremely well when you first enter the cave, therefore pushing straight to the objective is usually going to end pretty badly. I'll usually try and take out 2 or 3 enemies on the flanks, and then once I feel a bit safer, I'll try and push in and take out a few more unsuspecting enemies, which then allows the rest of my teammates to push up a whole lot easier. Now, as for the best classes in this phase, you can do really well with any class. However, I definitely recommend going with either the officer or assault classes, as they're probably the two most well suited classes for this phase. Once you and your team have pushed up, then the best place to capture from is around the back of this pillar, as it's going to keep you completely covered from most of the enemy fire, and it's easily the safest capture point in the game. In saying that, you do obviously need to push up and try and get a few kills as well, because the enemies can just sit on the other side of the pillar and do the exact same thing to stop the capture progress, so you will definitely need to play aggressively at the same time. Now, another solid way to clear the enemies out from the objective is to get your hands on an ATST, and these things can be absolutely dominant in this phase of the map. All you really need to do is just keep firing at any enemies that you see, and as soon as they see you, they're usually going to freak out and fall back a little bit, so as long as you don't push up too far, it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be able to take you out, seeing as there is so much cover around the area. Just like I mentioned before, if you can get yourself right up next to the pillar in an ATST, then not only can you get a heap of kills, but you can also help capture the point as well. And if you keep an eye on the right side of the pillar, then you can pretty much shut down that whole side of the map on your own, meaning your teammates can push around and take out the enemies a whole lot easier. Now, once you do manage to take control of the capture point, then you'll be on to the third and final phase of the map, and this one is actually fairly unique from most other phases of Galactic Assault. In this phase, you'll need to take out 3 different power consoles, and if you and your team can't manage to take them out before the tickets run out, then the enemies will end up taking home the win. So your only objective for this phase is to try and take out the consoles as fast as possible. Rather than actually planting a bomb like most other objectives in Galactic Assault, you'll actually be able to damage the consoles with blasters and explosives. So I definitely recommend playing as a heavy in this phase for the extra explosives and the fast rate of fire on your blaster. If you have enough credits for a hero, then I'd definitely recommend playing as Bosk in this last phase, as well as in the second phase too, if you do get enough for a hero earlier on. With all the tight corridors and stuff like that, he's definitely the best hero to use on this map, so I definitely have to recommend giving him a try. If you don't quite have enough for a hero, then another really good option is the Flame Trooper. These guys are absolutely crazy on this map, and if you head down the flank on the right of the map, like you can see on screen now, you can genuinely take control of this whole area on your own, which obviously allows the rest of your team to push up and help as well. These guys absolutely melt enemy heroes, so if the other team has a bunch of heroes that are taking control of the game, then I can't stress enough how powerful the Flame Troopers can be, so long as you stick to the close quarters areas. Now, honestly, this phase is actually pretty self-explanatory. All you really need to do is just get the consoles within your line of sight, and once you do, then your only real goal is to fire at them until they're completely destroyed. That's obviously easier said than done, but in terms of me giving you guys tips for this phase, there really isn't all that much else that I can say. This is usually one of the easier objectives to take control of, so with the tips that I have already mentioned, I'm sure you guys will be able to take home some wins on this map more often than not. So that is going to be it for our crate attacking guide, guys. Hopefully some of these tips helped you out, and if they did, then make sure to leave a like down below to help support the channel. I'm sure I would have missed some really great tips as well, so if you do have any tips of your own, then definitely don't hesitate to leave a comment and let everyone know. The more tips the better, so definitely feel free to leave your own tips as well. If you are new to the channel, then feel free to subscribe and make sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any Battlefront 2 guides or live streams. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.